Hunter Dodge somehow caught another nerf with the ability changes, but maybe, just maybe, it was a deserved one. In the recent TWAB that was released, pretty much every ability got nerfed. All the ability cooldowns pretty much all got nerfed. It wasn't a complete picture, but there was a lot of nerfs to a lot of things that give you ability energy. And well, on that list, Hunter Dodge was one of the things that's cooldown got nerfed and is going to be longer, especially the Gambler's Dodge, which is the most competitive version of it. The notes here are that Hunter Dodge no longer breaks projectile tracking. Mind you, it does still break aim assist, we got confirmation of that, but the Marksman's Dodge, the tier 10 mobility cooldown, is now increased from 11 seconds to 14 seconds, that's 3 seconds up, and the base cooldown has been unchanged at 29 seconds. The Gambler's Dodge, however, again the more popular competitive option, has a tier 10 mobility cooldown increase from 11 to 18 seconds. That's 7 seconds of cooldown increase. And the base cooldown duration also increased from 29 seconds to 38 seconds. So the way I'm going to go about this discussion is I'm going to talk about both some arguments for the dodge nerf and against the dodge nerf. I'm going to start with against the Hunter Dodge nerf first, but to be very clear, before someone mentions that I main Hunter and I'm a biased Hunter player, I am yes going to talk about arguments in favor of the dodge nerf. To be clear here, I honestly am indifferent about this nerf. There's things that I don't like about it, there's things that I like about it, and that's why we're going through all of it. So let's get into it. So points and arguments against the Hunter Dodge nerf here. The Hunter Dodge is a brief, quick movement ability that doesn't provide you with any real advantage, and it doesn't actually provide you with anything beyond its short animation and duration, at least by itself. I've talked about it in the past. Yes, the Hunter Dodge gives you many significant benefits, and I'm not denying that in the slightest. Breaking aim assist is a big deal. It counters a lot of things in the game, although now it won't be able to break projectile tracking anymore. I assume that means grenades as well, but it still does break weapon aim assist and controller reticle friction. But again, this doesn't actually provide you with any sort of actual advantage. It's not giving you anything persistent that stays there for utilization, like the Titan Barricade does, and even the Warlock Rifts do. And the Hunter Dodge is a selfish ability that doesn't give you anything to use as a distinct advantage, it just keeps you alive. It's quite literally a crutch. There, I said it. Hunter Dodge is a crutch. That's the point of it. It's a safety net to make sure that you can stay alive and get out of jail free in engagements and scenarios you probably shouldn't stay alive in. But all because it's a crutch doesn't mean it's giving you anything to use as an advantage. And because its activation is so brief, there's an argument to be made that that's why it has a low cooldown time and should have a low cooldown time. The Hunter Dodge also sacrifices its in-combat functionality, its crutch functionality if you will, in order to activate other abilities, things like invisibility, deadly reach, to reload with Marksman's Dodge, some exotic activations, etc. Often when you want to utilize your subclass's actual abilities in neutral game, it requires you to preemptively use your dodge in order to utilize that ability. Invisibility is the best example of this because you often are going to go dodge to use your invisibility, so you can go invisible first and then engage. You're not going to always be able to get into a fight, go invisible, and then re-engage perfectly every single time. That kind of perfection to utilize your abilities, I think, is a bit unreasonable, and that's why I kind of disagree in a way with the Hunter Dodge nerf yet again. Because now there's a lot of abilities that are tied to our subclass trees that we don't get to utilize as often in combat. And this leads into perfectly that dodging for your melee a lot of the time is a key engine for the Hunter neutral game. Think of combination blow, the burning knives, and even decoy smokes on Top Tree Night Stalker. These things are all integral to some of the loops for the Hunter neutral game, which aren't significant abilities on their own, but are really important for the overall subclass loop that you're trying to achieve with some of these classes. And without being able to cycle some of your abilities in an engagement, your subclass is just so much weaker or subpar, or maybe just not as fun. Now let's talk about some key points in favor of this Hunter Dodge nerf. In my first point against the Hunter Dodge nerf, I mentioned that it's very brief and it doesn't actually give you any advantage, but I did also mention that it's still a get out of jail free card that breaks weapon aim assists, reticle friction, and is an evasive movement that's hard to read or track. For those reasons, you could argue that yeah, dodge is powerful enough. Combined with the frequency it has, it's a contributing factor to why hunters are one of the easiest classes to pick up, play, and do well with, because it has many ways, and the dodge is one of the most significant ways that take priority away from good positioning and allow you to get out of jail for free. So I think it's fair to say you can argue that due to its frequency and how often it can just get you out of bad scenarios, it warrants a nerf to be a little less frequent. Similarly, once again, to our second point against the Hunter Dodge nerf is something similar for the Hunter Dodge nerf, is that the dodge activates strong exotic abilities. Things like the Dragon Shadow, maybe Gemini Gestures, and probably the worst offender, Wormhusk Crown. I personally don't see anything too wrong with Dragon Shadow or Gemini Gestures. I think Gemini Gestures, while they are my favorite and in my opinion, one of the strongest exotics, I still think that they have such a tight window to really take advantage of that they're not problematic enough. I think that Dragon Shadow teeters on that line, but usually you're sacrificing your dodge and getting rid of that in order to have better weapon performance. So perhaps that's fine, even though there are perfect scenarios where you can use the dodge evasively and then come out of a fight with good weapon performance as well. Above all though, like I said, Wormhusk is the strongest. And I think Wormhusk is one of the reasons you can argue that Hunter Dodge needs to be nerfed. Because how do you fix an exotic like Wormhusk? It's already not giving as significant of a benefit as it once did, but it's still significant enough to keep you alive quite a bit. And the problem with Dragon Shadow, which again I have less of an issue with, but Wormhusk especially, is that these are two things that assign an advantage to the Hunter Dodge. They allow you to use the safety net or crutch aspect of it, but also allow you to get something advantageous out of it, or significantly advantageous of it, especially in the case of Wormhusk. A little less in the case of Gemini Gestures because it's such a short window of time you have to work with. So I, again, really don't have a problem with that, but you can call me biased. But either way, that is the point that's in favor of the Hunter Dodge nerf, is because of things like this as well. As mentioned in the TWAB, the Gambler's Dodge completely circumvents the melee cooldown. So that's one more stat you don't have to invest in, and it's not all that hard to get your melee back by dodging close to someone. I think, yes, this is integral to some Hunter subclasses, and, not having this as frequently might really ruin them. But at the same time, I can't say with a sound mind that it's okay to have something so frequent completely get rid of the melee cooldown. Lastly, the dodge being as frequent as it is can go in many different directions. It's really a double-edged sword. Yes, again, some neutral games rely on it, but in other cases, it takes really potent abilities and makes them more frequent. And then it also has interactions with the mods that provide ability energy for free, like Dynamo or Distribution. And on top of that, we do have things like Utility Kickstart, which will maintain an even higher uptime for the dodge. So maybe the nerf is to kind of take into consideration that now, especially with Utility Kickstart, they need to take the dodge cooldown up a little bit, because this is inherently bringing it down and essentially undoing one of the nerfs. So these are all my thoughts on the Hunter Dodge nerf. Once again, it's important to keep in mind that pretty much nearly all abilities seem to be getting some sort of a duration nerf. So in context to that, it's not that bad. I find myself feeling very indecisive through this entire thing. I'm kind of indifferent, like I said. On one hand, I see it, and on the other hand, I'm heartbroken. Really can't make my mind up, but you guys can let me know how you feel about it in the comments. I'd love to see it. So thanks for watching. Hope to see your opinions, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.